So, Grandad, tell me about how you expanded and you bought Cattle Farm where we are today.
Gradually bought bits of land. I was able to save money and had a fairly careful wife that didn't want too many new frocks. And anyway, kept buying bits of land and, you know, working hard. And then this farm where we're set now was the neighbour to my land across the road. And he had no family. And I got to know him fairly well, and he was a very nice chap. And I said, if ever you want to sell your farm, would you give me a chance of it? He says, well, I would, yes. But he said, I'm not wanting to give it up yet. I'd got a right brainwave. He had a 15-acre field next to where I was farming. So I said to him, I said, hey Les, I'll give you £1,500 for that field, which you can use as the deposit on this farm, and you can carry on farming and I can until we decide to complete. Oh no, so I don't want to do that. You can have that field if you want to farm, as long as you pay me rent for it. And I selected the best bit out of it and rented that off him. And again, a bit more expansion. And then he come to me 2 years later and he says, oh Stan, my wife's not very well. I'm going to sell the farm. But there's 2 more people involved now. He says, what I'm going to do with you, I'm going to have a private auction. And if I do anything wrong, and these are his words, I'll give half of it to charity. And one of my wealthy neighbours got his nose in the way, of course, and some farmer in Lincolnshire. So we set off, and the farm was 168 acres, I think. And we'd got to bid for it privately, and he would tell each of us what the other person had bid. Well, the chap in Lincolnshire dropped out straight away, so it just left me and my wealthy neighbour vying for this farm then. £17,000 we'd got about bid to, and it was round about harvest time, and I used to dry my corn on this farm, and the farmer came out and said, your opposition's rung up from Paris and bid another £50. Oh dear, I thought. Went back into the dryer, and then I thought, well, it's either muck or nettles now. So I went and knocked on his door and said, hey Les, I'll give you another 1,000 for that farm, because I really did want to be down here. I knew where I was in the village was not going to be in the future any good. And so I rang him back up in Paris, and he come out and said, oh Stan, he says, you've got it, I'm so pleased, he says, I wanted you to have it. So anyway, I got the farm, and by this time I'd got keeping pigs in the village and making nice profits, and then went back to the bank and knocked on the door and said to the manager, I want to buy this farm. So he said, I'll come out and have a look at it, and he come out, and I said, well, I haven't a car, so he picked me up and he come down to this farm in his car, and he said, I'm not going to get out, and these were his words, I'm not going to get out the car to muck in my feet, get it bought. So, oh, that was fun, that was good, that was. So we went off back, and I bought this farm, and that's where I really got to start farming, because I'd got to start thinking differently then, because I was going to employ staff, and that's different to working yourself, and you've got to sort of tell yourself that you can't expect workmen to do as much work as you do. Things like this that really enter into being a different type of farmer. And so I got this farm bought, and seemed to do fairly well on it. And there was a place on this farm that was well equipped to keep 600 pigs. So I got this made as I could feed the pigs in 10 minutes, and got buying 8-week-old pigs, and I'd put an automatic mill and mix in, and I could feed them before the men come to work and after they'd finished at night. And I used to be sending often 20 or 30 pigs to the bacon factory. I didn't like the idea of markets. It never struck me as how my life was going to be. I didn't go into markets and guessing the weight of animals and bidding against each other was never my idea of doing business. I wanted to sell my pigs dead weight, load them on a lorry at 6 o'clock in the morning, every week the same, and know exactly what I was doing. So I signed up a contract with a bacon factory and was doing whatever numbers I had ready every week, and I could make £2 or £3 a pig profit, which paid for the interest on this farm quite easily, and carried on like that for a good few years. And I often think about when people talk about having quality time with their family. Well, by this time I'd got a van, and I used to put a box in the back and fetch these 8-week-old pigs in, which I bought. And I found I could never get away without my kids going with me, because they loved to sit in the back of this van with these young pigs, particularly my daughter. And so this job, this was my quality time with the family.